So welcome, and in the previous video we started to talk about different exercises that were using ASCII characters, and in this video we will continue, okay, and we will create a new function that will also work a little bit with ASCII representations. So let us start. So what we have to say first is that we know that there may be a lot of different characters like lowercase a, lowercase b, okay, lowercase b, uppercase f. We have characters like this, we have characters like that, right? There are many characters that we can use. There is also a character which is a space character, and so on. And also what we know that there are characters which are simply represented as digits. Okay, so there is 1, which is also a character, 2, which is also a character, and so on up until 0 and 9, right? There is 9 character. If you take a look on your keyboard, you will also see the 0 character, right? So there are many characters. Of course, 100, this one is not a character, that's a string. That's something I think we haven't spoke of so far, but that's definitely not a character. But all of these, they are simply characters, and they can be also stored as characters. Although the number, the integer 1, can be stored as an integer, but here 1 also can be stored as a character. And the difference in the fact is that you can store a variable with a value of 1 as an integer, and then it will consume like 4 bytes of memory. And also you can store it as a character too, and it will be stored just as a character with consuming just 1 byte of memory. And there is also a difference. You cannot like add one character to another and expect a fully mathematical operation, right? That's not the case. It's not how it's going to work. It's simply stored as a character that you press from your keyboard, okay? So I hope that makes sense so far. And if we would have taken a look at the ASCII table, you will see that there is also an ASCII, a character representation for all the digits from what it was. Let me check. It was from 0, which is character representation of 0, which starts from the decimal representation of 48 up until 9, okay, character, which is the representation of 57. So we know this pretty much, that the character 0 corresponds to the decimal representation of the value 48, and we know that it goes like this up until the character representation of 9, which is basically 57, because they are all stored or basically placed one after another in kind of a sequence. Okay, so that's the character, that's its decimal representation in the memory of the computer. Awesome. And now what we have to do is simply to write a function, okay? So that's our task, to write a function that receives what it should receive. It should receive 3 characters, okay? 3 characters. And these characters basically should be just numbers, just digits, okay? So basically we should also check if the characters are digits, if all the characters are of a digit type, meaning they are from 0 up to 9, right, each character, then in this case the function should return an integer which is the decimal representation of this number, okay? So it should return an integer which is a decimal representation of this 3 digits number. So for example, let's use the examples here. Example. If we would have received like 3 characters like this, 1, 5, and 9, then in this case, what we would have to do is simply to return, where it is, come here, up, to return the value of an integer type of 159. Okay, so notice we do not return a character or something like that. We simply return 159. So that's one example. If you would have, I don't know, like 2, 0, and 6, then in this case you would have to return like 206. Okay, so return 206. Very simple. Awesome. And basically, if one of the characters, which is the otherwise case here, right? If not all the characters are of a digit type, then what you have to do is simply return 0. Okay? So what I mean by that, if you will receive one character, which is, let's say, this character, then definitely you cannot calculate and return some number associated with that, right? So if that's the case, you should simply return 0. Okay, so I hope the instructions are clear to you guys. Take a few moments to think about it, and of course, we will solve that exercise together right away. But please give it a try it on your own. Don't jump right away to the solutions. Otherwise, it will not give you as much knowledge and as much understanding as you would have done and tried to solve it by yourself. So take your time, no rush. This video is here, and I am going to see you in the solutions. Awesome. Okay, so once you have tried to solve it on your own, that's a good time to start solving it for ourselves. Okay, so let us start and call this function, I don't know, let's call it character, let's call it 2-digit, not 2-digit, 2-integer. Okay, characters to integer. And this function should receive, what should it get? It should get 3 characters. So let's say char, let's say character 1, char character 2, and char character 3. All right, so that's the signature of the function. And the reason why this function returns an integer is because we said that we want to take the information stored in each of these characters and to construct a 3-digit number which will be of an integer type, and then simply to return it. So how should we go about that? So basically what I recommend you is to understand, first of all, that we need to check, okay, we need to check that all of the characters are, first of all, represented as digits. And one way to do so is just to use one if condition. So if, let's say if, and we will ask character 1 is greater than 0 and character 1 is less than or equals to 9, then that's okay, right? That's okay. We can also do the same thing for character 2 and character 3. Is that clear so far? Good. So we can start with just this explanation. So if character 1 is greater than 0 and character 1 is less than 9, then it means it's in the legit range. So of course, guys, there are plenty of options to solve this exercise. I'm going to show you just one, so no worries if you've done it a little bit differently. Just make sure that the expected result is pretty much the same. So let's create just for simplicity, we will create 3 variables. It's not mandatory, of course, but we will create 3 variables, and we will say the first variable will be hundreds. The second variable will be what it should be. It should be tens. And the third variable is units. And of course, we will create like final result. Okay? Final result. Awesome. So we know that the first character, character 1, is related to the leftmost character. So in this case, we will simply say that the hundreds will be equal to what? To this character. So this will represent the digit, the leftmost digit, which is associated with the hundreds. So hundreds will be equal to character 1 minus what? Minus the 0 representation, which is kind of the lowest between all of these characters from 0 to 9, since they are in a sequential manner. So pretty much just like our examples to lower and to higher and to upper, we are doing the same thing here. So if character was like 2, okay, the character was 2, so 2 minus 0 would give us a total result of 2. And it will be the decimal representation, which is exactly what we want. Okay, so we are going to take a look at, let's go with this example, with this one. So we are going to take this 1 character, okay, the 1 character. It has a representation, a decimal representation of what it was, of 49. So it's going to be 49 minus 48, which are the decimal representation, which is a total of 1. So hundreds will be equal to 1. Okay, so int hundreds equals to 1. And then we are going to proceed with if, of course, the else here, the else for this condition is return 0, and basically end this exercise right away. And now we are going also to do pretty much the same just for character 2. So if character 2 is greater than 0, and also if character 2 is less than or equals to 9, then in this case we will know that the tens should be equal to character 2 minus the decimal representation of character 0. Which in this case, we take this 5, and we know that tens will be equal to 5. All right? And of course, the else is, again, return 0. Okay? Because if one character, at least one character, is not in this range from character 0 up to 9, that's not something that we want. And finally, we have also if character 3 is greater than or equal to 0, and also character 3 is less than or equal to 9, then in this case we will say that the units will be equal to character 3 minus 0. Okay guys, in this case it will be simply 9, right, from this example. Else return 0. Awesome, so we found out the hundreds representation, the tens and the units, and we have to return the final result, and the final result should be calculated in the following way. You know, this is 1, this is 5, this is 9, so we have to return hundreds multiplied by 100, right, since that's hundreds, plus tens multiplied by what? By 10, and plus units. Okay, so you take this 1 multiplied by 100, so it will be 100 plus tens, which is 5 multiplied by 10, which will give us 150, and plus 9, 159. So that's the characters to integer function. If you still have any questions, feel free to ask them. And until the next time, keep on practicing, keep on moving forward, and you are bound to succeed. Hopefully, yeah. I wish you a great day, guys. Goodbye.